Hi, we are here with Brad. Hi, Brad.
Hi, Andra.
How are
Great to see
you?
you. I'm doing pretty well, all things considered.
Nice seeing you too. First I want to start by saying I love MojoHost swag. It is amazing. It's the
Hey,
best.
we've been having a lot of fun with that. I started working with Jay at Life Candy just 2 years ago. So we did a lot of corporate reimaging and branding for our swag and our trade show booths and online advertisements. So it's been a neat process, and I really like some of the stuff that we've come up with.
I love it. And this, I think you gave this at the TES in Prague, right?
So there's a funny story behind that shirt. So I never would have approved a shirt that had my likeness on it.
Okay.
So we had a couple different designs cooked up, and Jay had said to me, you're just going to have to trust me on one of them, because we did two shirts. We did this yin yang mojo work-life balance shirt, and then Jay had also cooked up this one. And thankfully, I love this shirt because it seems like it was really well received. So it wouldn't have been in my nature to put my face on a T-shirt and tell people, hey, you trust me, and that's good mojo.
Wear my face on a T-shirt. Yeah,
but it worked out well. So I seem most days to work, not today, but most days I seem to be just rotating through a litany of MojoHost hoodies and MojoHost shirts.
Most of the people know who you are, but just for the people that don't know who you are, tell me a bit, who is Brad Mitchell and what is MojoHost?
Sure. So who am I? Well, I guess I'm me. So I started actually back in August of 1999 was when I quit my day job and got into the adult entertainment industry. I had originally started with some pay sites that I purchased from somebody, and it's really a long story to get to MojoHost being an official business. But very quickly in the first few years, I had settled in on hosting as my main endeavor, and it's grown so much. It wasn't something I totally expected originally. As someone that was very young, I was 23 or 24 when I started. 24 when I started. Young and dumb and poor. I know there's something else that rhymes with that. I got you on that one. But it was a rough start. Nothing's ever really come easy to me. In the beginning, the first few years, I was just trying to create enough business to make a living wage, and I very immediately got myself in the first year like 6 digits in credit card debt. Just trying to build a business that worked, and that was, we were always. I had always, since my first server when I owned pay sites, had some friends that were putting servers in the data center, but it was really not until 2002 where we launched it, as an official, product and service with MojoHost. So at MojoHost today, all these years later, we have a beautiful team. We've got nearly 35 to 40 employees, geographically based North America and Eastern Europe. We've got a full suite of hosting products, so everything that one might expect, which would include dedicated servers, virtual private servers, cloud hosting. We have a public cloud product. We also build private clouds for companies. We have web application firewall services, which is like security services for preventing website attacks and denial of service attacks. We also have a very robust offering of what we call content delivery network services.
What is that?
So explain simply, when you have a website, what you're trying to do is, as quickly as possible, get content from where it's hosted to the person that's viewing it on their computer, right? So what a CDN is, content delivery network, what that means, when you have that implemented, basically you have your data is stored in your primary hosting account. So whether that's a virtual private server or a dedicated server or a farm of servers or a cloud instance. But But as your surfers are requesting files like media files over time, so images and videos, things of that nature, these files, we store a duplicate copy inside of this CDN, and we store it in all the different geographies around the world. So like if someone's surfing your site in California, then your images and videos will be cached in a point of presence in California or anywhere else in the world. So basically what it allows someone that owns a website to do is to efficiently serve very high volumes of traffic without having all of that traffic be served from their primary hosting. So, and functionally how that works to improve performance is, generally speaking, when a file is hosted closer to a user, then they download it faster. The internet, the number of hops in between, the latency and distance of time and milliseconds is much less when you can cache a file, which is what CDN does, is it caches your files in multiple places. So in our CDN product, it's pretty cool. We don't just have one CDN. When you go to most hosting companies, they simply offer one CDN. And for most of them, it's either they're reselling a CDN or they're doing a hybrid approach where they're still reselling a CDN and then maybe they do some caching in their data centers. So we have wholesale agreements with 5 different CDNs.
Okay.
So this means that I have a price competitive product for somebody, whether they want to launch a tube site and need the cheapest cost possible. So maybe they just need like good enough CDN where they can have a price point to stay on budget. And I also have what we would consider to be more premium CDN service, where your surfers' expectations are much higher, maybe because they're paying a monthly membership. So you really need that delivery to be perfect no matter where they are in the world. And so we've got 2 tiers of premium CDN that we offer, and then we have 3 tiers of value CDNs that we provide.
Okay.
So those are our main services. In addition to that, people can come and buy domains at mojohost.com. We have an everyday low price on every TLD and special pricing on the MMX TLDs, which are .sex, .porn, .adult, sex, porn, adult, and there's one other one. Whichever one that one is, we have that one. Those are all like everyday priced at basically $75, which is pretty awesome.
We're gonna put that at the end of the video with the.
Nobody cares anyways. Domains are pretty uninteresting, and even as we offer it, it's not really a service that we make a margin on. We do it more as a convenience for our customers, so that through our portal at MojoHost, they can more easily manage all of their hosting needs.
Okay.
So, besides all of that, we have what I think is the best support team in the world. So in the MojoHost support team, it's just chock full of senior level Linux systems administrators.
Okay.
So we've got, I think, a count of around 25 full-time senior sysadmins. So what we really pride ourselves in is giving people the best customer experience, the most technically savvy possible, always with good mojo. So that means our guys will really bang their head against the wall to try to get your server as performant as possible so that you can do as much hosting paying as little money as possible. So our guys really go the extra mile to give customers advice, fix complicated problems, troubleshoot their programming, install all the scripts. When we move customers over to MojoHost, we do what we call a white glove move, where our team will do all of the work and then the customer's participation is really only needed to change DNS and then do website testing.
Okay.
So I would say above all else, though, besides the fact that our networks are fast and we use great equipment and all of those other key things, what really makes MojoHost special is our team, because it's not just the technical bits that are in use that make for good hosting. It's really the people that are managing it,
absolutely,
putting it together to make it as efficient as possible. So.
That's great. Where did the name Mojo come from? Like, what was the?
Oh, gosh. So this is actually a funny story.
Oh, tell.
Oh, not necessarily one that I love telling. I was young and learning on the job doing this. But originally, when I started, I had, as I had mentioned earlier, I had adult pay sites. So, and those are making a few $1,000s a month. And I also had some other products, like I had a phone entertainment, like live phone sex type company that marketing. And I also had libraries of content that I was doing content leasing. So for other people at that time, it was erotic stories and erotic audio stories. So I had the largest library of erotic audio stories. So people that own pay sites could pay my business and then have like a plugin in their members area to enrich their content to give the users something different.
Okay.
So I was doing lots of different things. And the main brand back then was Sin Empire. So I had Sin Empire, which had Sin Bucks as a pay site program, Sin Talk as a phone sex product, Sin Content as a content leasing, and then eventually Sin Host, which was the hosting company. So long story short, prior to the time that we got real serious about hosting, I had basically sort of closed down and shuttered all of these different things, and then realized that the hosting was becoming the biggest of all of the businesses. And what a short-sighted name choice I made in picking a hosting company name, because it was, I was always classy about it, and tried to be classy in the marketing. And even back then, the tag phrase that I made up was, "You don't have to sell your soul to make money with sin."
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
But at some point I realized, like, oh my God, like, we're selling a bunch of hosting, and this name that I've got really sucks, because I can't even pretend like that I can do other hosting, because, normal people aren't going to want to buy from a brand with that name. It's not discreet, which is exactly what a hosting company should be, because hosters like us, we have a fiduciary responsibility, just like a banker would, or a priest or a rabbi. People trust us with their whole business and their secrets and all of that stuff. So I'm like, okay, I need a different name. So I remember way back then, I was always a domainer. So even today, I still have hundreds and hundreds of domains for all different niches, business types, and ideas that I had over the years. But I remember surfing through lists of deleted and expired domains, like thousands, looking through thousands of domains that people had registered at one point and then let expire.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw MojoHost on the list. I'm like, oh. And at that time, this was in like maybe mid to late 2002 or early 2003.
Okay.
And back then, one of the popular movies was Austin Powers 2.
Oh my gosh.
So I thought to myself, and it was a combination of inspirations. So there was like the Austin Powers movie, which, the first one's better than the second one, whatever. But there was that as an inspiration. And back then, Dell Computer Company had a marketing campaign where there was this guy on all of these very hip commercials, and their phrase was, "Dude, you're getting a Dell." It's like this young guy, sort of college-aged, very hip. And, at least back then, I thought, oh man, that's a brilliant marketing campaign, because it seemed like it was working. That's how Dell originally used to be more known for, computers in an office setting, and less for home and personal use, right? So this is part of the campaign that they used to transition for a broader market. And I thought, this Mojo name could be super cool. Sorry, Natalie keeps sending me Slack messages.
It's okay. It's okay.
Natalie's always working. Actually, most days I'm like, Natalie, go the fuck to sleep, because she's still working. On my time zone, I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's almost 2 a.m. What are you doing?
We're sending hi to Natalie, by the way. Natalie, look what you're doing during the video.
Natalie's always working in beast mode. She's so fabulous, and I'm real lucky to have her.
She's amazing.
So my inspiration for the brand MojoHost came from me finding this one deleted domain, and then at the same time thinking, boy, those Dell commercials are really cool. Someday if we sold enough of this, maybe I could hire like a really brilliant marketing company, and they could do a fun, sexy, but commercial pitch for MojoHost. Because Mojo, what does Mojo mean? It means something different to everybody. I think the real the more pure definition is something to do with sexual prowess. But as I've edited that and had it on my website over various different years, I basically had it as, sort of like a mystical power of something charming, whatever.
Okay.
So it was in approximately 2004 when I did the brand change over to MojoHost. And then yeah, it's just kind of, so that's really that's the history on that. We have today over 1,000 different individuals and companies that we host, most of which are in the adult entertainment industry. We actually have 2 corporations. We have a US entity and we also have a Dutch entity.
Okay.
Same ownership on both companies, and one doesn't own the other. They just have the same owners with their shares. That would be myself and my business partner. And yeah, and the reason that I did that, it would have been very easy for us to open up in Europe, and our business has always been global. So our revenue here, it's been a while since I've run the number, but the last time I checked the math on that, I think it was something like 40 or 45% of our revenue from customers was from outside of the US.
Okay.
That's on revenue, not on client count, but we've always had a global audience. But it's certainly more so, the last, I would say 12, 13 years since I've been so global. And I was really one of the first Americans crossing the pond to go to, the TESS conferences and some of these other ones. So when I opened up MojoHost in Europe, I could have set up very quick, easy, and cheap just by having the US company buy, co-location space and pay for bandwidth. But I went the longer route and, set up a proper company, new banking, all of this other stuff, because the impression I was getting, there's absolutely zero advantage whether someone hosts here or there, but it really comes down to customer preference. And
Absolutely.
As I discovered with my clients, especially those that are European, they've got they're comfortable with the laws of the European Union, and so everyone always, so by my observation, people always worry whether we have a Republican or a Democrat administration in the United States and how might that affect the laws. I don't see that as a concern, but the fact that other people do means it was something that I thought we should respond to.
Absolutely.
We've got two different companies in Europe. I don't know the exact server count. Maybe it's like 400 servers, and then in North America we've got 11 or 1,200. So altogether, a lot of equipment. Yeah.
So how did this pandemic thing affect MojoHost, if it has affected in any way?
So, I would say most of the effect for me has been, as for most of us, has been more personal. From a business perspective, I think at the moment, especially because this is also fresh and it happened so quickly, most of us are pretty okay still.
Yeah.
Business-wise, long term, I think if this environment continues, month after month, or as I expect it will continue throughout the rest of the year in different phases in different countries, as people and places start coming out of quarantine and back to sort of what we hope is normal life and business.
Yeah.
I think we'll all be affected, but certainly consumers are more sensitive when they start getting their credit card bills, and if they've got credit card bills and not the income to match it, then I suspect it's reasonable to think that we'll have a trickle-down effect within a few months, reflected in sales. But from a business perspective, I was dialed in pretty early. I actually had my staff all working from home right at the beginning of March, which was it was way before it was required by the state that we reside in, which is Michigan. I still come into the office each day, but it's an empty office, and so staff works from home. So from a business perspective, I've had some clients reach out. Those that are in content production have a cessation of their business. Not live content production, but professional video and such out of LA and Vegas and places like that, where their income stream's potentially inactive right now because they're not producing. So for customers that have been affected, I'm doing the best that I can to either give discounts or delay their payment, or in some instances when it was appropriate, just to forgive a few invoices or push their billing forward to try to be supportive.
That's awesome.
And as I always say, I'll see as it all unfolds. So I'm not really certain the full effect to our business, except that I'm expecting that it will affect collectability in the next few months.
Okay.
Staff seems to be, everyone thankfully so far is happy, healthy at home. So that's good news. So that obviously it's disrupted business travel. People like you and I that travel 12 times a year or more. You know, you travel more than I do.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of flights and things that I don't have, a couple flights and combinations that I don't have canceled yet because I'm waiting for hopefully a refund instead of a voucher and credit to use.
You have a wonderful family. Like those three kids are amazing. And I've seen one of them has started driver's lessons. How does that go?
Oh yeah. So my daughter's actually, she's got her full driver's license now.
Oh,
So
wow.
she can drive. She can drive. She's 16, just last month, end of last month, and she can drive even after dark, and there's no restrictions anymore. And
Okay.
then my boys are twins. They're 15 years old. And so, yeah, early on, one of the things that we were doing to pass time, because we couldn't really go out and do normal things, is we were trying to get some of their driving practice hours in. Because in our state, they have to log like 50 hours of, 10 hours of night driving. I think it is maybe 40 hours of daytime driving. So we were trying to get all that done. So we're close. I think we're within 5 or 6 hours on each boy.
That's good.
And they're actually, for what it's worth, they're all really good drivers. They argue with me. They actually are, and they drive more technically correct than I do. You know, no rolling stop signs. Not that I would do that if there were traffic. But no, they're good kids, and I'm actually this week I'm happy to see that they're kind of engaged and back into their schoolwork now with online stuff and homework and assignments.
They say that pressure creates diamonds. What have you been cooking? Like, what has been cooking in the MojoHost family in
So much stuff.
this
I mean,
time?
I already talked about all the different things that we do, but really what our focus has been on is just on a couple of distinct things. So, really over the last 2 years, we've tripled the amount of support team that we have.
Okay.
So growing the size of our team and making sure that our culture matches and meets standards and expectations has been super important. And I am so proud of, and even now, we've inserted some tiers of management in the middle to help, because as the staff gets wider, we just need more people to help manage people and process. So we've been super focused on that. Me personally, I'm laser focused on a new data center. So I'm building a data center here in Michigan just for MojoHost servers. So all my own stuff. So it's my from the outside with the generators to the servers, it's all mine.
Oh, wow.
In a traditional sense, a host like myself, what we've always done is we buy space and power in different data centers. So we're basically delivered an empty space, and then we build our own network and put our servers in and do all of our own thing. But in this new environment here, it's all ours. So I'm really excited about that. I was over there this morning deciding where lights are going in ceilings and making some other decisions, picking out all of the design for the whole technical infrastructure and the whole look and feel of the site. So I'm excited about that. Originally when I first got the space, because now our offices the new office, I'm in a great office now, but eventually we'll move to the new space when it's ready, which will be our offices adjacent, attached to the data center. So originally I was like really depressed because I have super cool office now. Like glass walls and polished floors, and I got to pick the wallpaper and the carpeting, and so everything's really snazzy here. But the new space was like drab and boring, and I was trying to figure out how am I going to get light in the space. There's all these walled off offices and old carpeting, so everything was just kind of a gut job. But now I really see it coming together. So I'm super stoked about that. So yeah, people, new data center, and
That's
then
great.
yeah, those are my big focuses right now. Besides that, we're crushing it with cloud stuff. So we are creating big wins for companies out there that are moving to MojoHost that are maybe formerly on Amazon or on some other cloud out there. So I'm doing a lot of trying to target as much as I can, getting the word out about cloud stuff, because everyone has sort of a mixed views on what they think Amazon is, and how, like, everyone says Amazon's huge, right? So the pricing's got to be great, and oh gosh, when I move to cloud's going to be cheaper, right? So I'm finding in instances where we're building private clouds for larger enterprises and organizations, I'm cutting their Amazon bills by 60 to 70%.
Wow.
We have one client we're moving over that was between rough numbers, they were spending about $50,000 a month at Amazon and another $20,000 a month at CDN, and literally their new Mojo bill, once the move is complete, is less than $25,000 a month.
Oh my God.
It's a total win.
It's a total win. That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's a win for them. It's a win for us, and we're not sparing any expense. I've got huge investments in all the hardware and infrastructure, and we still operate on a really healthy margin. So I've been more cloud focused the last couple of years, and my whole technical team has had the time to perfect our support and our technology and our programming and the whole environment. So I see much more of that in our future, and I'm looking forward to it.
So you have been to Bucharest Summit before. Tell me a bit, how did you like it?
2 times or 3 times? Do you even know? I'm not even sure.
3
I've been at least twice.
You've been,
yeah, 3 times.
I think it was 3 times every edition. Yeah. How did you like it? How do you like Bucharest? How did you like Bucharest Summit? The whole thing.
So I wouldn't say that I'm a foodie, but I do love to eat, and so I enjoy the food in Romania, and the people are great. The summit itself, I liked it quite a lot. I liked at the location that I was at previously with that everything was kind of in the same space, so it's easy to see everybody and access the common loungy areas that we all really like to stand and socialize around in. It was very nice and close to the show floor.
Yeah. We are keeping the same hotel, so it's the same hotel like the last years.
Yep, that's great. And I think one of the draws to that show that I enjoyed is that show makes it so accessible for Romanians to attend. And by population, so many live, especially in the camming part of things, live either in Bucharest or in other areas in Romania, and so it's cheap and easy. It's a cheap, easy show to get them to, which I like because it means I get to meet more new faces. It means that at that conference, I'm more likely to meet people that maybe don't make it all the way out to Portugal or Amsterdam to Miami or Los Angeles or Las Vegas or any of these other Berlin or any of these other destinations that we go to. So I think one of the cool things is it pulls in a larger census of the Romanian side of the business, and then I also noticed it seemed like there was a good draw from Russia and some other places in Eastern Europe, which for me I'm always excited to because especially since I've been doing this for so long, I'm always excited to meet new people, because that's really how you grow your business, is talking to more people.
Absolutely. So what do you think we should all learn from this pandemic, both personal and professional wise? As there are so many people that are complaining now. Is it a time to learn stuff?
I think it's always a good time to learn, and in no particular order. I think the first thing that we should all take heed of or have as a lesson is to be honest with ourselves about being a little bit more patient, maybe saving more. Instead of, most of us, it's very easy in our culture and everybody does it, whether it's East or West. More living for today, less having nice things, less savings in the bank. And obviously in such a difficult situation, the worst that any of us could have would be just ourselves and our own resources, right? So if you didn't have friends that you could ask or an employer that might loan, then really you've just got your own savings and your own credit ability. So I think it's really a good time for everyone to take stock of how do they use and manage their credit, and also maybe how many weeks or months worth of emergency savings do they have. And I think, just like the experts say, I think that while this is certainly the first time for the last 100 years where it's like this for the whole world, I think it's reasonable to assume that we might have these kinds of issues again in the future. Now that it's been brought to the forefront, we're all a little bit more aware. I think another good learning lesson for us as workers and us as employers is to really consider and invest in better technologies for remote working,
Okay.
which I think is a big part of the future for most businesses, whether they're global or just local, just that flexibility. And not just for reasons of pandemic, but like even at MojoHost here, with some of our system administrators, we've been letting them work either from home, some days, or optionally, or when it's convenient for them, just to try to improve morale.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can refocus yourself to develop a more successful corporate culture, to help manage your employees' happiness, allowing them to work from home and giving them some of the tools or work remotely can be something that is really something sticky that will keep people around for longer term, because it improves job satisfaction.
Okay.
Because it's very hard to keep people at a certain point of salary, and where I live geographically, in Michigan and that eastern United States, the magic number is around $70,000 US per year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I read some years ago, I was trying to figure out, how can I improve our retention for employees, particularly, in technical support, because it's a tough job, it just keeps going. There's always more work. Sometimes it's thankless. And so, one of the battles I fought was getting wage scales up, because I had read some article that beyond a certain number, it's not really money. More money isn't necessarily making for happiness. So things like working on the environment in which people are working is very important. And then what else? I don't know. Appreciate the ones that you love. Reach out more often. How you can plug in and give some good back, because that's good mojo.
That's good mojo. That's perfect. And we end this on a very positive note, because that's good mojo. And we have to trust in Brad, because the T-shirt said so. So if the T-shirt says so.
Is my brainwashing working?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you, Sandra. This was really great. It was nice to see you, of course, on the cam, and hopefully people that decide to tune in and watch this stuff,
they're gonna learn some stuff.
They might learn. Yeah, I guess there's some of my story in there, but I think we've watched through most of the things on Netflix we could figure out. So we're creating some more content from them. So hopefully
Absolutely,
they get the joy out of it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Brad. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Have an awesome day.
You as well.
Bye, everyone.